Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Muni-Muni podcast. We are here to have a little discussion with the Muni-Muni Club. First off, we would like to say what the Muni-Muni Club is. Oh, first, should we introduce ourselves?
Yeah.
I'll introduce us as the Muni-Muni Club. Yeah. And here on my right, we have...
Hey, I'm Marie Wood.
Brenna Vasquez.
Ethel Noah Cruz.
I am Albert Porteria.
Hi, Jennifer Concepcion.
Hi, folks. I'm Albi Aquino Kulandi.
And I'm Rena Perilla Garcia.
Yes, and we are the Muni-Muni Club here based in the 757 Hampton Roads of Virginia. And we are a group. Well, should we discuss what we are as a group, or why we came together? You know, what we are, what are we doing here? Who would like to start with that?
I could start off. I mean, we really started off with this energy grew out of the Filipino American Heritage Day at Harbor Park. Rena was part of the original one back in 2019. It was mostly just a couple of vendors. And we wanted to really get the community involved and make it a bigger event. And so some of us got pulled in at that time. And we just found it was so positive just seeing the way that people responded, the way that the different Filipino organizations responded. And so we wanted to kind of continue in that really positive energy and of lifting each other up and that mutual collaboration and everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, so this spawned from a Filipino night with our local minor league baseball team, the Lawford Tides. And we've had other events spawn from that. Like, you know, if you want to give us some examples, Reno?
So from the Heritage Day Games, I think after the very first one, like Marie said, it was really just a lot of vendors. They had originally reached out to the FONS, the Philadelphia National Historical Society, and they kind of just brought in everyone they knew. That's how I ended up on it. And through that, I think it was the second or third game where we did it to where we had a pregame market, Selden Market. I'd previously been a vendor there, and I just thought, I had never seen a fully Filipino vendor market in the 757. So we put that together, and it was really cool. We met a lot of people and actually spawned a few different markets as well, and different organizations. So that's probably the one outside of the game itself that I'm the most proud of that we've been able to put together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll agree. I do think that market, we had a Southern market as a strictly Filipino market with Filipino vendors was historical. I don't know if people understand how big that was, just because we had people coming out of nowhere, just coming out selling their little trinkets and goods and whatever. People with that, I mean, it started a community, and it's something that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I remember talking to a few of the vendors throughout the event, and after, like I said, this is the most they've sold in a long time. The event didn't start till 11. But they were already set up at 10 and they were already selling things. So it's just really cool to, from something that just came from like a quick idea that turned into something that really actually helped a lot of small businesses in our community.
Yeah. It brought a lot of attention to a lot of the Filipinos in this area who didn't realize we had this many Filipino entrepreneurs, people selling jewelry, people selling baked goods, people who were selling clothing, you know, all together in one place.
In addition to that, you brought in some musical artists, right?
Yeah. And that was cool too, because it was able to really just cover the facet of talent, not just entrepreneurial and, you know, tactile goods, but, you know, we're also obviously known for being entertainers. So giving them the opportunity, we brought in a lot of really great artists and DJs to be able to showcase, and a lot of which, you know, some people in our community didn't even know was Filipino, which was kind of cool just to really showcase that aspect of it. So it's just a great part of what we do that I'm really proud of and can't wait to see how it progresses and evolves.
What about some of the other events we've done? Jennifer, do you want to speak about some of the other stuff that Muni-Muni Club has done?
We have also done Flores de Mayo with REI. We like to cross over into our community any which way that we can help elevate and promote Filipino culture and different facets that you don't normally see us in. You know, we're always known for being nurses and caretakers that way, but there's so much more to us. You know, there's
there's different things that we can also do in addition to our usual trade.
So with the Muni-Muni Club, Brenner, what do you think, or what direction do you see the club going in? Or what do you think the people should know about our organization?
I think when we first got together, we were talking about, like, we're not just doing markets and that kind of stuff. We're trying to be more of a resource for, up and coming, whether it's talent and business owners, that kind of stuff. And try to bring opportunities to get the next Filipino generations. Our network is pretty big to be able to, with what we have, say like, hey, if you guys need help with anything, in your career, we can help figure that out.
Yeah, we are a very diverse group right here. Just the STEM of us are very diverse. Like you mentioned, Albie, you are the sheriff or deputy sheriff. I'll let you explain who you are. I'll let you explain who you are.
No, I work for the PNB Sheriff's Office, and I've been there since 1997. I was the first Filipino American captain, and now I'm the first Filipino American chief deputy. And so, let me digress a little bit. Who came up with Muni-Muni? And what does that mean?
Where you like take the
Because I was like, what's Muni-Muni? What does that mean?
Same.
We'll let Ethel take that one.
Yeah, please.
The person behind it was getting my team. So Muni-Muni needs something to think about. So it could be very serious or it can be very funny. So really anything that if you want to say, Muni-Muni ako, or like I'm thinking about something, or when someone's just like in their room, the mom will try to call their teenager, what are they doing there? Oh, in their room, Muni-Muni. And just like whatever they're thinking about. So when Jennifer and Rena came to have a good day 2 years, I think, about
2023.
Yeah. That's kind of like how it started. I was drawn to what we're trying to do because I think I've been trying to just find like a circle of Phil-Ams outside of my own circle, just trying to see like who I can connect with, especially in the 757 area. And that was one of the things that they kept saying during our discovery meeting. That's like, because they've been in the air for so long, their parents were like in charge of a lot of like the different Phil communities. And now they really want the next generation to start thinking about what we're supposed to do, like our place in the community, things like that. So that's where came about.
That's awesome. And that's where, yes, I can even tell them this. I think Jennifer is the one that actually reached out to me.
Marie might have been, but we started, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us participated in the second game for the Tides, and that really brought us together. I've known Albert since I was 4. We grew up in Navy housing. Probably a lot of people from 757 have grown up in Navy housing, and but from that game, I was able to meet you, Rena, and Marie.
Yeah, even though you knew my sister from way back when.
Yeah, it's from sports. And so then we wanted to continue that essence. And we knew that we could do it for the next game because that was our next purpose. We had the first game in April was so successful, they asked us to come back in September of the same year, which was really surprising because 2 Phil-Am nights in the same season. So then we knew there was an opportunity, and there was a lot of opportunity for lots of things, including rebranding, possibly having more of a place and telling our narrative, our story. Now, growing up here, we had lots of opportunity to celebrate our culture, and it's slowly faded, and we want to help bring that back.
Yeah, I think one thing about our area in Virginia Beach, Norfolk, 757, Hampton Roads is the number of Filipino Americans we have here.
Yeah.
And all of the amazing things that they're doing. We have entrepreneurs, we have business people, we have celebrities, we have, artists, all of that. And then I think one thing that we are trying to do is highlight all of those people and bring them together and show it off to the rest of the world, what we have to offer to the world. And like Ethel said, yeah, just finding those circles of people and bringing them all together is something that I love to do. It's like just there's a lot of Filipino Americans out there who just don't know how to get out there. I think that's where we come in. We're there to help people.
And it's always obvious how much we want to support our brothers and sisters and in their businesses. We always want to use the Filipinos first, if we can. I think the biggest thing for us is the mentorship, really making those connections for the youths that are just trying to decide what they want to do and giving them a chance to ask those questions or maybe intern with us. And I work in project management, not the most exciting field, but it gives me the opportunity to help be part of these events and organize these events and work with people I may never get to work with before.
That's what drew me in. Actually, when I came to the meeting, the first meeting, what was that? Where's that offense? It was a brewery.
We went to Commonwealth Brewery.
Yes, Commonwealth. That's a great place. I came and walked in, and I didn't know I was getting this really. So the draw for me was it was for me, it's like an epiphany. I was like, there really is something here that we're missing, or not necessarily missing, but where we can bridge the gap in our community from our parents into us now, right? How is that relevant to Filipinos here in Hampton Roads today? Are they're not necessarily our parents anymore. They're born here. Now, what is it like for them? And how do we bridge that gap between our culture and our youth, right? Our Filipino youth. And so any impact that I can have, as someone in local government and in law enforcement, something I think is very important. And the trend is you don't see a whole lot of Asians, a lot of Filipinos incarcerated, and that's because of our culture.
Yeah.
We're very respectful, not saying you're gentrified or, we've assimilated, because that's not what we want to be. We want our own identity, right? Mm-hmm. And so you don't see a whole lot. And I wanted to make sure if I can make any impact in this community as far as what my role is in law enforcement, that would do that. If I could make an impact on how they view society and what their role is, and make sure they don't cross the line, they're not deviant in any way, they break laws. You can see that kind of stuff, and you really don't.
Yeah, I'll admit, I don't break the law, not because I don't want to get arrested. It's because I don't want my parents getting mad at me. I mean, that's a big part of it.
Well, speaking of our culture, right? You don't want to re-shame your family.
Exactly.
Right? We go that way. And so I think my position, especially because you don't see a whole lot of Filipino or even Asians here in the South, especially. Usually I'm the only person in the room in training or conference, and I'm usually the only Asian level Filipino. And so I have to, we align a good representation and say, hey, this path forward, if you want to get into this line of work, this is great. But at the same time, understand that, we want to bridge that gap with our youth today in the community is hopefully where our parents were when they first came. It's different. I'm not quite sure they can identify exactly what the old school, mentality is, because we assimilated into this culture now, and so I think it's very important that back to the point that Jeff pointed about, me to find our identity, even though it's there, or carry that force and bring new life to it.
Good point. I mean, along those lines, what motivates all of us? What motivates you to be doing what we're doing here? Rena?
I think it kind of builds off of what Alvin was saying. I think a lot of people our age and even a little bit younger, I like to think I'm still young, I'm definitely not, but they're reaching this point where I've had people reach out to me like they want to be involved and they know how to get started. I think that's part of what helps build Muni-Muni Club is we all felt the same. We want to be able to contribute to our community, but the existing ways, the different associations didn't really feel like us. It didn't feel like it really speaks to our strengths. So I think we gravitated towards each other because we wanted to create something different and create a different avenue to reach out to the youth and give them opportunities for mentorship and to be able to help find their identity in a way that we didn't have. And it's nothing against what our parents did. They were in survival mode. A lot of them came here without having any family. They created a community here, which is great, which is why we're all here. but they made those sacrifices so we can delve deeper into it and get really granular about who we are. We have the freedom to take big swings and be more on the creative side. I'm actually grateful. My parents were different from most Filipino parents. They encouraged me in the creative things. I know that's not typical. A lot of the people we know in the creative fields, I'm sure when you first told their parents are like, but you're still going to get a degree somewhere else, right? Or,
How are you going to pay the bills?
What does that pay the bills and drugs? And as we've seen all the creatives we know, yes, it does pay the bills. You have to kind of forge your own path. And I think it's being able to make those connections with the younger demographic to let them know that there isn't just one path. And we're all examples of that in very different fields, but we've all kind of done our own thing and been successful. And that's what motivates me to keep going. Marie and I have been in the community space for a very long time. I think one of the first times we met, we were dancing at CSET, the Savannah Speaking Association. They used to put on these very elaborate patties. I remember Lun Wei curling my hair to the gods to play Sammy in Greece. And he was Danny, of course. That's a core memory. But that's where we first met is, starts off dancing and folk dancing. And, it was a fun way to connect. But for me personally, I was like, there's got to be more. In high school, I did Culture Society. And that's what we learned about. I started writing. We did spoken word, which at the time was very different. And we were talking mid 90s. But it was really cool to have the support of Ray Obispo was our advisor. He's also in Fonz, who recruited us to do the first game for the Harbor Park. So, ever since working with him only 5 years ago, we're still very much involved in the community. And he helped us kind of find our voice. But what we do now is it's just taking everything we've done over the past 20 years and just expanding on it. And how can we make this more accessible to Filipinos who may not say, oh, I don't want to go the association route, or I don't even know what that one was like. We don't have Filipino school like most other Asian cultures around here. So I was like, what can we do to help maybe even create that or support it for the few places that are doing it? So for me, that's what motivates me is to, just build on what we started.
How about you, Marie? You're very involved. There are a lot of,
Yeah, I know. Because there's a lot. Yeah, Rita and I have so many similarities. We're both in the culture early. I remember I was 4 years old when my mom got recruited into the United Ilocano Association of Tidewater. And I learned my first Filipino folk dance, which is the bakya, which is those wooden shoes. And you click them and then you pretend to fight with each other. And, and so that was my introduction to that. And, and I feel like I benefited so much from growing up in the associations because it was it's like a village mentality. And so, like you said, I don't want to get in trouble because I don't want my parents to know, but you also don't want your aunties and uncles to know and spread all the chismes and then your parents are going to be shamed. And, so you are, so there's this motivation to, to succeed, to be good. And I've just seen how what I learned and how I was shaped by growing up with that kind of community mindset has influenced, my life in so many other ways, like in my professional aspect, in rare disease advocacy and founding an organization to support families affected by rare disease. But there's this idea that by connecting to each other, by connecting to people who are doing things and moving the bar forward, that we're just so much more powerful and that we can really be this force for good. And so that's kind of where my eyes are. That's what I'm looking to, how people are doing so many cool things. There are people who are so talented and so creative and they're making amazing things. And how can we lift them up and give them that chance and just all connect better and create that village around each other and create that support network that makes us just more wholesome, happy people, Yeah.
Speaking of creating awesome things, Brenner here, he does a lot of awesome stuff. Yeah. What motivates you, Brenner? Or you go speak about some of the stuff that you do and how it keeps you going and what you do.
Yeah, for me, it's I've always been an impact-driven person, with anything that I do, whether it's art or whatever. So yeah, these guys right here, our cameraman, Chris, Jess just graduated. So,
Thank you.
Giving them opportunities like this to, even if it's like, it's not like a Hollywood set or anything, but just like, dude, any experience I can get. I try to live in that way where it's like, we use whatever skills I have, whatever capacity I have to like help people and at the same time, have it be my profession. So yeah, even with like my brother, Ivan over here, he's, I taught him a lot of things and, and now he's doing really great with social supply and, he's gotten like global notoriety.
Yeah.
So, it's like things like that and just want to be able to do more of that. And yeah,
Check out social supply.
yeah. But yeah, because, like growing up, like, I don't feel like we really had that. It was like, we joined these Filipino organizations. I think like one of them growing up was like UMAT, United Mahjong Association of Taiwan. So me and my parents and all the aunties, they would just play Mahjong. And we would just be like sitting on the steps, just like goofing around, But it wasn't like, and then we get to college, it's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, there wasn't anyone to be like, hey, I think if you're interested in this is the path you should take. So, being able to do that and inform you guys, like, I think it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I do think this area has like a lot of different groups doing a lot of great things, but I don't think it's known to the rest of the world. I think that's something that we're trying to do is push it out there, let people know what a force the Head the Rose area is, especially with Filipino Americans.
In our last Tides game, we were able to partner with Social Supply, and we had pre-game, we had an all-female Filipino crew, DJ crew.
DJs, yeah.
Yeah, that was really nice to see.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a plethora of DJs here at Have the Road too. I'll put them up against anybody else in the rest of the world. It's just,
I think that's what's cool is we're putting on people that are good at what they do that happen to be Filipino. We're not just like, let's look for Filipinos.
Right.
Let's hope they're good. No. These people are married to what they do. And like, luckily would kind of agree to be a part of what we do because I think they believe in the mission too. And it's our chance to give people their flowers, even though sometimes they don't want to. And we're like, are you sure? Like, well, they're like, no, it's okay because they do it just because that's who they are. But that's also been like a super rewarding part of this is being able to highlight them in a way because people have maybe heard their names, but they didn't like know they're Filipino. And it's something that we can all claim, but just help put people in the limelight.
Yeah. I know, Ethel, you do a lot of that. I mean, that's part of your job is putting the limelight on people. Is that something that motivates you, as part of the Muni-Muni Club?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Again, I feel like one of the things that drew me to the concept of having a Muni-Muni Club is, again, it's what Brenner said earlier, like how every day, like even at Have a Good Day, that's the name of my brain studio, by the way. We wake up every day. That the goal is like, how do we make an impact and how do we end with a Have a Good Day? And how many people can we actually help? And one of the things that I really wanted, especially for the creative industry, is that they never have to go through the things that I went through when I was starting. So, a brand studio 20 years ago in our area was non-existent. It was a lot of digital advertising or traditional advertising. And I was like, I want a brand studio. So if it's not going to be given to me, I'm going to do it. So that's kind of like how it started. And I was like, let's do it. Let's find the right people. And no, I'm not going out there just looking for POC. That's not, it was just so natural. Because at the end of the day, I feel like everyone will need to find their place in the community. I just happen to have, 80% of the people in my team are Phil Amps or, POC, and it's been great. And every time I talk to other groups like, Selden Market or even the city, anybody in hospitality, whenever I ask for a list of creatives in the area, more than half of the people in the list that they gave me are Phil Amps. And I get so excited knowing that, all right, no, we're not just in the medical field or engineers, we have a lot of creative people in the area. And I think knowing that we all desire the same thing and the desire to really like help, especially the next generation of still AMs in our area. It's nice. Like that in itself is very rewarding. Like just knowing to me in the same people keep out so on.
Yeah, I mean, I see that a lot in our area, how FilAms are a lot of behind the scenes. There's a lot of cool things with Tandem Roads. And if you look at the people involved, I'm sure you'll find Filipinos behind a lot of it.
Yeah.
They're not up front in front of the cameras and everything, but they're very involved in a lot of this stuff. They're helping build this area into what it is. I mean, we have Albie here, but of course, is a face of Virginia Beach.
Well,
He's supposed to like.
no, we're in trouble with that case. No, yeah, you guys bring up a very good point, and which is why for the past year and a half I've been involved with this Muni-Muni Club, is watching each and every one of you do your thing. I'd never known. And there's a saying. If you're out of sight, you're out of mind. And what you guys are doing, or you're leading the charge.
What we are doing.
What we are doing. We are doing.
Yeah.
We're leading the charge of making sure we're at the table.
Yeah.
That's very important, and not just behind the scenes all the time. And it's not that we're looking for credit. I mean, we can stay on our own, right? And so I watch each and every one of you, and you got to see the tech. This is amazing to see. I never grew up in the Philippine community. My parents, nurse, they wasn't any, and they didn't have time for us. They didn't take us to associations and Ludwig in large area.
Consider
Right. They didn't have that. I grew up around black and white people, and I didn't know what to go.
Pan.
I'm a product of that now. This is and our youth right now. These are our youth are being born now here.
Yeah.
And it may not have that opportunity to understand Tagalog, or their parents will speak to them in Tagalog, and not get it that way now too. So but I think it's important that because of this, you're still going to be pigeonholed with this.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make sure that we have credentials, right? Not just because we have to be Filipino. We have the goods, we have the credentials, and we're Filipino too about that.
Yes, and I think that's a big part of what we do is preserve our culture, to present it out there and make sure everyone is understanding of what we are and what we do. And speaking of that, what is our mission? What is the Muni-Muni Club mission? Jen, do you want to take that one?
I don't have our mission statement memorized, but I do know. Our mission really is to support our community. We have these 4 pillars. We want mentorship, unity, narrative, and inspiration.
So say that again. Mentorship,
Unity, narrative, and inspiration.
Which spells out Muni.
Loving it.
No, you have to. You have to give ourselves nicknames that all start with M.
So what are we going to be doing to help us get to this mission, to do the mentorship, to do the unity?
Our big goal of the year is to have a conference, right? We want to have a one-day, maybe multi-day conference for this community. We are thinking September 2025. This is already 2025, but yes. And through that, we're starting this podcast, but we're trying to reach out to the community with this podcast, like let our presence be known, because we need feedback. We need input. We also want to be a product of our audience. We need to connect. So we do different events, from the Tides game to Flores de Mayo with REI. I would love to do a camp out locally. We want to do things like teach people how to make Filipino food. We'd like to do things like roll lumpia, and all of these things to be fun. Any kind of outreach. And in addition to that, we want to be there. We're doing these things so we can create a conversation. So there will be an opportunity for that person to ask us a question that they would otherwise not know who we are, would not have the opportunity to ask us.
Thanks. We even coming last year in the mentorship part, and we started our monthly meetups. And one of the first couple ones we had when we talk to some of the college students, because again, we are all of varying ages and different industries, and we're just a very small portion of this community. So we can't say, well, this is what people want. I mean, what we want, but let's find out what they want. And it was really interesting to hear that, like, some of the feedback from this generation is they don't know how to cook the food because grandparents are people like our age who may not always cook traditional Filipino food, which is different from what we grew up with. They weren't dragged to Filipino parties, but we were, so they don't have that. And even like with my son, he did SCAPA, which is School of the Creative and Performing Arts, through the Philippine Cultural Center, and did folk dancing. I actually never did folk dancing as a kid, but there's a resurgence with this generation, it seems, from the meeting we had, of people wanting to reconnect with their culture because they feel like they're taking steps away from it.
Yeah.
So as we get more ingrained in the American culture, they feel like they're either losing that side or they weren't connected to it in the first place. I mean, they're trying to with their grandparents and other family members, but I think they want it for themselves. And even some of the celebrities we asked of oh, who would you want to see? They were naming super Filipino, TNC celebrities. I'm I don't even know who they are. They're trying to get into it. But I love that. It was really nice to hear it directly from them. And I think that's why mentorship is huge for us, is because we want to know, this is something, sadly, they didn't ask us when we were kids. What do you want to learn? They're like, no, you're going to do this. Okay, I guess I'll do it. But we want to be that bridge for the kids who didn't have that. Well, I'm curious, where are you into? Do you want to do creative stuff? Great. Do you want to do more? We had a lot of people wanting to be, I think it was data analysts. So it's a little bit of everything. As much as we love the creative aspect of it, we want to be able to connect people in whatever industry they're interested in, and let them know that there is Filipino representation. And if there's not, like Ethel said, if it doesn't exist, create it. And we'll give you the tools to create it. We might not have the blueprint, but we can share from experience what works for us, what has it. And I think that's so powerful about this group, because we have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of different connections just between just the seven of us. Yeah. But we would like to reach out to everybody out there. The seven of us can't reach out to everybody. So I hope this podcast can help reach out to people. They can, if they want to, start a business, if they want to go into a certain career, I think they can, come to us and we can at least send them in the right direction, to do whatever they want to do. Really, the sky's the limit for Filipinos here. I mean, it really is. What would you guys like to see in this area? What do you think we need more of in this area? Do you think, or what do you think we should be highlighting in this area? Kind of food. I mean, we have a lot of good restaurants here. Should we be highlighting them? Should we be highlighting the artists in this area?
All of it. Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah. Yes. To all the Explore. You have a list, or we've been working on one, and we've been talking about potentially doing an ad that lists all of the Filipino restaurants and businesses. Because
Come on, Ryder, make an app.
Yeah. You're not busy.
It's funny because we started a little Google Map thing. I was gonna list maybe 20 businesses. My list is probably 80 businesses now, and there's still businesses I'm finding out. I'm like, oh, let me add them to my little map. I'm getting close to 100 businesses that are Filipino owned, Filipino centric. All of that. It's and people just don't know about it just because it's not out there. And I think a lot of, especially a lot of the older generation, they're not into the social media of today. They're not into the advertising or whatever. They're the mom and pops. They just been there forever, and people assume they're going to get there. And then you have the youngest today who are totally different. They're all into the social media, and they don't even have a brick and mortar sometimes. And they're doing things. So it's such a variety of Filipinos in this area doing so many different things that I really want to highlight all of them. There's just some amazing people. And then I do think some of them are getting lost in just the fact that we're not a big city. We're not in LA. We're not in New York. We're not Chicago. We're Virginia Beach. But I think we have the same quality of Filipinos in this area as all these other places. I mean, of course, I see on YouTube or on Instagram, these big old parties in San Francisco or in LA, Filipinos doing a lot of different things. I'm like, we could be doing the same things here. And we are doing it. It's just not out there.
You need to shine the spotlight on it.
Yeah. And I think that's what we should be doing. Just shining the spotlight on some of these people.
And
But yeah, is there a certain thing that we should be doing, or is there a certain, I don't know what I'm trying to say, a certain area that we should be spotlighting? Do you think that doesn't get the shine that it gets now?
I don't know. I wish it was like a landmark here. You know, as big as the Filipino community is in Laguna Beach or the Tidewater area, there's not like a like a Manila town or something, where it's like, hey, you're flying down 64 and like you gotta stop here. But it's like, oh, we go to Andy's Bakery, we go to
Filipinos there.
something like that. I believe it PCC is there, but it's like
Yeah, the Filipino community center.
Filipino Community Center. Jollibee is like become like one of the landmarks because it's created, but something
Yeah,
else.
we have a Jollibee, we have a Red Ribbon, we have a Max's.
Oh yeah, Madison is out here, but they're all like scattered.
Yeah.
So you gotta like do a tour of Virginia Beach.
I think we're explaining there's a reason why those businesses are here. They're not just like, oh, we happen to open. Like, no, they decided to be here because of our presence. And I think like Filipinos know that. I don't think the rest of our community does. So it's hard because it's like, I don't know if there's one singular thing we can focus on. It's really just highlighting our presence and our contributions currently, because we all know it within ourselves, but it's really just sharing it with other people. And just, we can get to a point where we have our own version of a Filipino toe, because it feels like it already, unofficially so.
Right.
But how nice would it be to just that be a landmark of, or here's a tour to visit Virginia Beach that says, here's all the Filipino places. There's a placard of like, although we've been here, learn the history, have walking tours, or even like a bus tour of like important Filipino landmarks. I think we can get there. And I think what we're doing here it's a good start and it's a good catalyst to show that we can, just from the events and the work that we put out, I think we can get there. But it takes, also others in the community to support what we're doing. And like we were talking about it earlier, there's Filipinos who come to me randomly or like at parties and they want to get involved and they don't know how. They don't know where to start. They want to do something for the community and they have a certain skill set, but they're like, how do we do this? I'm like, that's a conversation we've thought about a lot, which is why we came together, is because we all thought it at one point separately. I'm like, how can we really impact our community? How can we take this to another level? Well, it's by creating your own community within that, of what we're doing here, and using whatever skills we have to leverage, putting the word out.
I think some of that too is, I know this is a, creative arts, business, promotion, that kind of thing. And so I think and I already care about this because I don't want to go into politics.
Yeah.
You're right. So, but being at the table involves some degree of politics, right? So if there's anyone out here that wants, Filipino, that wants to pursue politics, be a council person, school board member, or the sky's the limit. I think that's, something we can mentor. That's very important, right? And it's a very fine line because, we don't want to destroy community because of politics. We're trying to grow this here, right? And so I think some of the aspect of our group, maybe, I don't know what that looks like as far as a mission, maybe not a mission, but something where we could mentor case of the leaders across right?
Visible Filipino leadership.
Right, and because it segues into a lot of things, funny for stuff.
Right.
Getting stuff to team for things, and I've been in politics my whole life, my whole career, because my office is in the elected position. So we work at the World Sheriff. Everybody knows that. Our job's not guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing I don't like about my job, is it's not guaranteed. I don't have any guaranteed receivable, or how many receivable guarantees.
Yeah.
Sheriff firm to whatever it wants, right? So, but there's a lot of politics involved with that. And to navigate that in also too many years, I have enough experience to be able to mentor, anyone that's interested in that in that field, right? So, and that's what, when we go out, I just want to make sure that, I'm not, that politics is not the way of our mission.
Yeah.
We're on the same page.
So I think in some way it should though, because if we're talking about having an impact in our community, then we're talking about having a seat at every table.
Right.
I don't think we'll be able to help the Phil-Am community go to the next level if we don't have representation in all the tables. Yeah. So I do think it is important for us to think about politics or some sort of leadership, not just like in the places of, hospital or the creative industry or those things. I do think there's a lot, like even financial firms. There's so many things that I feel like there's a lot of Phil-Ams in those industries, but I don't think there's like a big voice that represent all of that. So I do think, yes, we need to be careful. I think that's like across the board. We need to be mindful of the things we say, the relationships that we have. But I don't think it's wrong for us to seek after those opportunities. I think it's very necessary. Yeah.
So I can be politically aware of how politics affect our community.
Yeah.
And how, it's not always like, oh man, like just us taking and trying to advance, but like just being aware, like you said, how to navigate according to the political climate. And
Yeah. I mean, politics for a lot of us is a bad word, but we need to know how to work it. We need to be part of it. We need to know how to use it to our advantage. It's part of the game.
So it's an effective in the decision. You can't pretend that it doesn't exist, or like, oh, well, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. It's like, well, they're ruffled, so let's get into it. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you this. So why is it that we don't see a lot more Filipinos involved in politics in terms of, like council, school board, mayor, election?
It's the values and culture of like, we don't want to shame families. We have like one thing in the newspaper about like a family member.
Yeah.
We like all of us think was like, oh, all the cheese set, all that stuff. It's just in us to like not think we're not that we're scared of it. We just don't want to deal with it.
Regretfully, I just try to, thereby try to honor the family, but like, too much to fall where like, well, I'm not going to go for what I want.
Yeah.
It's because I don't know how
this is good enough. I'm sorry. I don't need all that drama.
Once again, just want to do, I don't want to be up there behind the podium. I'd rather just do policy like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of the culture kind of informs, that lack of wanting to be in the forefront. I feel like there's people who do want to be involved, but
We're seeing some growth in those areas. We do have somebody who is a representative from this area with a Filipino background. So they are part of the Virginia legislature. So, I mean, it's starting to happen. But like you said, we're kind of overcoming some of that cultural background, maybe some of that, we should be more behind the scenes and people really coming out of that. And that's what's really cool to see is like how these generations coming up are going forward and how we can leverage what we already have access to in order to launch people who have that aspiration.
And I see that you got Muni-Muni. That's why I say each and every one of you guys, you guys came out of the shadow. People were at us for a long time. And I'm like, wow, this is what it's about right here.
Yeah, I do think we're at a pivotal point right now in history of where we've been and where we need to be. And I think that's what Muni-Muni is here for, is to get us over that little hump, to get us out there, to get us the politicians, to get us the celebrities, to get us the everybody, to get us a seat at the table.
it's like going back to one of our core values is narrative. We've all experienced at different points in our lives a different narrative of what it means to be Filipino.
Yeah.
We get it all the time. So this is our opportunity to really control it, because if we're really trying to build ourselves out to where we want to be and show you who we are, we have to be in the driver's seat. We can't just be like, well, what do you think we are? It's like, no, I'm going to tell you who we are. We're going to show you who we are. And the only way we can do that is by taking control and taking big swings and every opportunity that we can to really express ourselves. instead of just kind of hiding and being like, well, I hope you guys see us. No, we're not filming anymore. You're going to see us and we're going to put ourselves out.
Yeah. And that's part of what this podcast is, to show the world that we are here, we are doing this. And yeah, we can go on for hours on
I do want to add one thing because I think, like from Have a Good Day's point, and to hopefully everyone can hear all the at least the Phil and creatives through Muni-Muni Club, we were able to get connected to Norfolk Tides, and the Norfolk Lumpia is getting a rebrand.
Right.
And if it wasn't for whoever the person or the people that started this relationship with Norfolk Tides, if it wasn't for their courage or really just wanting to make sure we take control of that narrative, we wouldn't have that opportunity. So I was given the opportunity to reach out, to really like gather like Phil Am creatives in our area. Brenner was one of them. Our head of design at Have a Good Day, somebody at Grow. So we had a really small group, Larry over at Commonwealth. Like we met and we were really just thinking about how do we change this and how to make sure that the narrative is correct. And we can't wait to share that with you guys this year. I can't say much, but it is through this club that we were able to I was in emails with MLB, y'all. Like, this is crazy to know like their compliance and all that stuff. Like that's like a dream come true. So please know that it's not just any club. Like, we are very, very serious about making sure like we make an impact in our community. So thank you.
100%. The people at this table made that happen. It was the connections that we have, just being homegrown from this community, seeing things feel funny. And we were like, we need to change that. We did not like the reaction. We all had a reaction.
It was the first reaction when the people in that room were like,
Have a good day, got him. You all did this?
and that's what's funny is,
Brenner, did you do this?
when it's such a small community that they assumed
What's it?
Bethel must have been part of it. So, like, hey, that was me. And like, honestly, like, we'll get more.
But we created an opportunity. And this is exactly what we want to do for everyone around us. If we have a chance, we will find that opportunity. We'll work with the system or we'll work around the system.
Yeah, and now every game at this minor league baseball stadium will have Ponce and Lumpia at one of the concession stands, because one of our vendors has a permanent
Location.
a working space in. So every baseball game over there, you can now buy Ponce and Lumpia.
And how I don't think any other stadium, at least on the East Coast, does that.
We did.
Probably a minor league, maybe. I do know, I think the San Francisco Giants have something like
East
that.
Coast. West Coast has a little different.
Right.
But that just shows that
They know what they're doing.
Yeah. So we're trying to get there. We're trying to get there. So I think this is a good start.
It's a good start. We've been really good about advocating for ourselves and what we want and how we want the narrative to be. And I feel like that's where we're progressing from some of the old school associations, because again, our parents were in survival mode. They're just trying to get by. We're at a point where we can fight a little bit harder for how we want to be seen and how we want to be represented.
And
proving it.
To be honest, it doesn't feel like a fight. And it's because there's so much talent here. We're just making the introduction. Like, we are naturally good at these things.
Right.
So why not, why don't we just share our network? And it's worked out. It's phenomenally, from that the first Selden market, there was Rabuhai cuts. And it was just 3 vendors or 3 people that were attending, 2 vendors, and then right here, Albert. It's like, we need to do more of this. And that also got global recognition. It's amazing how much we can do.
Yeah, this is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. Yeah. So hopefully, people watching this podcast and listening can, get inspiration and at least know where they can come, to help get started, or know that we are here if anybody needs us. If you have something that you want to promote, if you have an idea, Filipino event or whatever, you can come to us and, we'll see what we can do, that kind of thing. So I want to thank everybody for joining us here today. We still don't have a name for this podcast. I'm trying to think of other Muni-Muni podcasts.
Yeah. We're always thinking about stuff.
It'll come.
Yeah. quick, just to end off the podcast. What's your favorite Filipino food? Marie.
Oh my
Filipino food. Okay, let's go Marina, because I know Marina always.
Okay, so I just actually recently went to the Philippines, and one of our tours was in Chinatown, which apparently is the oldest Chinatown in the world. And I had a beef caldereta when it was baked with cheese on top.
Ooh.
Oh, fancy now.
I know. I'm already thinking about how I can remake it. But yeah, caldereta.
How about you, Albie? What do you like?
So I love sisig.
Oh, sushi.
And I was back in the Philippines in 2023 and in Alcala, Pangasinan, and there was this don't name the restaurant, but I had it there and how do you
How about you, Jen?
This is the most boring answer, but I just got back from the Philippines too, and I've had all the foods, but it still goes back to Shanghai lumpia.
Yeah.
It is classic. I love it. I just had some last night. I cooked some, and I love it.
I'm a sinigang person. Sinigang is my favorite sour. I love it. I love it.
Same.
I was gonna say, I get teased even in our studio because, I keep telling them I do not like salad, and it's like, you don't like vegetables? I'm not. I don't like vegetables. I just don't like salad because my type of salad needs to be in a soup. It's like I don't care if it's sinigang, like sinigang or nilaga. It needs to be all the vegetables in there. And my favorite type of sinigang is actually seafood. I just had the shrimp and salmon. Amazing. So
I like the beef with the pork.
I like it.
Oh, you better.
it's like MMC sisig. It's the salty, the spicy, the sour.
yeah.
It's just
Marie?
Oh my gosh. I know, because I just think of so many foods that are like all my comfort foods, I would say, are my Filipino foods. And I know it's like, oh my gosh, I can't even think of it. Maybe like tambong, which is like the Ilocano way of saying like bilo, like those little glutinous rice balls like boiled in coconut milk. I know that was just the describe. It's so good. Yeah.
Chris.
what about you guys? Chris, favorite food?
Like the cameras. Favorite foods.
Yes. Favorite Filipino food? Tiger.
Kare kare.
Oh, there you go.
Chicken and
All
adobo.
right.
Sinigang, of course.
Yeah. Can we also stop to all? I work with a lot of chefs. If you are a Phil chef or you're thinking about opening a Filipino restaurant, please stay away from saying elevated Filipino food because Filipino food is already elevated. You just need to put a light on it. Okay? And Filipino is already elevated. So
Yes, it is. It's the best. It's already. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening, for watching. For the Muni-Muni Club. Thank you, guys. And we'll be having more of these, in the upcoming months or so. So just keep in touch. How can they reach us? How can they contact us? Do we have email?
Click the link below.
the center.
What it is.
I'll do it. I don't know. I'll get the link.
You can work on the editing later.
Don't be in the caption.
All right. Thanks, guys. Join us. Catch us next time. Thanks.
All right.
Good.
Good job.